last video was about cheap guitars, case in point, Harmonia. These are $75 on eBay, free shipping. Have to do a lot of setup, but boy, it's alright. Decent guitar. Anyway, I had a video asking, why don't you do a video, a person asking rather, why don't you do a video about strings and picks? What are the brands you like? What do you suggest? There's a reason why I don't do these kinds of videos. You can put 100 guitar players in a room and they'll come up with 50 different brands of strings that they like. It's a disparate field, and I don't really weigh into it that much, but I'll let you know what I do use. For guitars I'm selling, I buy D'Addario XL phosphor bronze, and I buy them in big bulk packs. I think I get them from somewhere around $4 to $5 a pack when I buy them bulk, and I think for a cheap string, they're not really cheap, there are a lot worse strings than that, but for an inexpensive string, I think they have a good shelf life, they ring well, they play decently, and they're a good string to buy a guitar with. But, however, when it comes to my own personal guitars, for instance my two Alvarez Yaris, the two Faiths I recently got that I haven't made a video of yet, that I will, and let's see what else, my BC Rich Custom Mockingbird acoustic, oh, my old 73 Guild D25, the old Warhorse. For stuff like that, my own personal guitars that I know I'm going to keep, I'm an Elixir Polyweb man. I buy the Polywebs, which are less popular than the Nano Webs. I just, for some reason, think they sound better. And that's because I like a bit of bass. I like a little bottom end because I'm a finger player most of the time. I like to feel the wood, I like to feel a bit of bottom end in my acoustic guitars, and I found that the Polywebs work really well for sound. Also, you don't have to change them that much. I'm changing strings all the time because I work on guitars, so I don't want to be doing that on my own guitars as well. So I like strings that have a bit of a life to them. I'm not an obsessive string changer. I don't change strings every time I play a guitar or I play a guitar in public. I think there's more life to strings than a lot of players allow for. But Polywebs give me a year or two at least on a guitar. They don't. They tend not to rust. They're coated, and a lot of people don't like coated strings. They don't bother me at all. They're great for finger picking. But that's what I use for my own personal guitars, except where I find a guitar has some sort of spec or dynamic that lends itself towards a particular set of strings. For instance, I recently put a set of John Pierce strings on a master built, and they sounded so good, I just left them on there. That's what I left on there. It just sounded, it just worked with that particular machine. I do get also from my local guy Evan, who works at the Guitar Hut here, I buy some locally made strings here and there just to try them out on some of the nicer guitars that I sell. So if I'm selling a $500 to $1,000 guitar, I don't always throw D'Addario XLs on them, even though that's perfectly fine. Sometimes I'll throw like one of these boutique guitar company sets on there, and they usually sound great. They're usually, you know, environmentally conscious, packaging and all that sort of stuff. So, but for the bulk, I use XL, phosphor bronze, 8020s, those kind of things. I use the Pro Arte D'Addario for classical guitars. Again, I buy them in bulk. I get them for about $4 or $5, and they work great, and they sound great even on the higher end guitars. I also like Savarez if I want to spend a bit more, particularly on flamenco guitars or guitars that you want some bite on. I use those, but beyond those few distinctions, I am not a string fetishist at all. I use Aquila on my ukuleles, just because I think they work and sound the best. But some of the other brands are just fine, they're just my favorite. But I don't have like this missionary zeal for guitar brands. Now when it comes to picks, string brands, when it comes to picks, I have absolutely no advice to offer you. It's really a question of feel. Sorry, I got interrupted there. If I use a pick, which is not very often, I tend to use very thin picks. And I'm a big fan, particularly for 12 strings, of these Dunlop Tortex picks. That's a thick one, so I'll never use it. But you can see that my pick collection is just any old junk. And I just pick up whatever's thin. Whatever free picks I get with guitar purchases, I put in this ashtray and I give them away. And whatever's lying around, if I play a 12 string, I just find a thin one. Here's one. It's a Speed Chromecast pick. It's probably off-brand cheap crap, but works. It gives a shit. I really don't understand the puritanical pick people. If you have your favorite brand and type and shape of pick, good. More power to you. I just play with anything if I need a pick. Most of the time I play with my hands, but if I need a pick, as long as it's thin and I can grab hold of it, that's my basic requirement. Of course, some of the cheap ones split, but I've always got an ending supply of picks around, so I don't really run out of them. Here's one that my son cut from a credit card. He cuts credit cards up into picks. He finds that they're the perfect consistency for his playing. They're a little thick for me, but he goes for that. So when it comes to picks, I don't really have something I want to try and impress upon you. Same with straps. I don't put straps on very often because I don't stand and play that much. Not playing live these days. At the moment, if I were, I'd probably be more of a coffee shop gig kind of person. So I don't strap on very often. I have a nice suede leather strap. I have no idea what brand it is that I use most of the time if I need one. So I don't, when it comes to accessories, I just don't have favorites. Same with cases. You know, generally I buy cases that are affordable and decent. I like a bit of padding if I can get it. And usually those brands dry up. I'll buy a supply until it disappears, and then I'll search around for another one. Chromecast is one I've been buying lately. They're cheap gig bags. There are some other brands as well. Can't even remember them off the top of my head. But I'm just not a fetishist when it comes to guitar accessories. It's the same with the number of frets, string length and stuff like that. I don't have a favorite string length. I don't have a favorite between, you know, different scale lengths. I pick up a guitar and play it, you know, and the guitar exists and I have to adapt to it, and I have to challenge my own playing ability to play it. I find too many guitarists want all guitars to conform to their favorite specs. I just don't do that. So there it is. There's my thing on picks, straps, and strings. See you next time.